Welcome, 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 welcome. We're back at it again. This is Alchemizing Energy, and today we have, once again, with the unseen government. This is part two of a series where we talk about the government and the unseen aspect of the government. All right. So, again, we have Baba Yashabiyah.
Greetings, my sister. We're waiting on the other part of my team to get on board. Brother Meher El and Brother Dawaz Zakaya to come on board. We've been traveling around as a group doing forums, lectures, and debate since 2000. So what we're getting up to is that is a lot of people do not realize that the government you see is not the government that's running things. That's just window dressing for society. There is a government behind this one that calls all the shots, that make sure that make things go a certain way. We've got a lot, and this is no conspiracy. This is a fact, and we can go back as far as King Alfie plan. Go back for as Iron Mountain. Some have heard about the Bohemian Grove, but we've got documents and showing that who's running this thing. In the last show, we talked about a guy by the name of Leonard Leo, the WZO, the World Zionist Organization. A lot of these things will get you kicked off, will get you in trouble, and we do not have a president. There is no place called the United States, America as a country. It's a corporation. You can look it up. You can Google the Google and ask if the United States, is it a corporation or is it a country? It'll tell you. And then we've been looking at let me slow down, the 1871 Organic Constitution, which scrapped the 1789 Constitution. Everybody looks to, that has no bearing. People tell you, well, this, no. And the symbol of it is, and then this being former military. The original flag of the country had no fringes. It had no fringes. And there's a thing called the flag law or flag code. You're not supposed to put anything above the American flag or anything around the borders. They put this gold fringe around it when they shifted from the country to a corporation and put it under maritime law. So even when you walk into the courtroom, you have no right because it's operating under the law of the sea. It's not operating as a country. It's operating as a corporation, as like its goods and commodities. That's why they changed the origin of getting a birth certificate. That was the time you had to be at least 12 years old or going into your 13th birthday to get a Social Security card. And then now you're born with a Social Security card and a birth certificate. So these things we have to realize was a change in shifting of the authority. We're under the banking cartel. We're under those rich families that bought the debt that was created from the war that we fought. It was signed. It became a corporation and on the British charter. So Britain still owns Britain owns the United States.
Mm-hmm.
You can look it up and see we fought the British, but we never got them under the British crown. I want you to say.
So, yeah, so I know that there's a big thing that you wanted to show real quick about
and I want to show them what's going on, and see, everybody's talking about this big gift that the Saudi. Now remember, what was it? Qatar was labeled years ago as a terrorist organization. He talked bad about it. Now you taking gifts from them. So let's see what the real deal is. If you want to mind, just play a little bit there, because people are like, well, Donald Trump is getting a $400 million plane. They giving him the junk that they couldn't get rid of. So the America would be paying the storage fee, the upkeep, and it'll cost $1 million plus just to get that plane retrofitted to meet the standard that the government requires for that to be Air Force One. So what is the deal? So let's play this clip And just let
Trade
this
war, ongoing attacks in the Middle East, and peace talks in the Russia-Ukraine war are expected to dominate much of that discussion. And while in Qatar, sources tell ABC News, President Trump is expected to accept what's likely the most expensive gift a foreign government has ever given to a U.S. president, a super luxury Boeing 747-8 jumbo jet the president plans to use as the new Air Force One. Aviation experts say the plane is worth an estimated $400 million before the U.S. Air Force makes modifications that the president will need. Let's get right to ABC News senior White House correspondent Selena Wang and ABC News national security and defense analyst Mick Mulroy. Selena, I want to begin with you. What are President Trump's top priorities outside of the jet with this trip to the Middle East? And does this luxury plane from Qatar raise any red flags in Washington?
Yeah, well, first of all, the fact that the president is choosing Saudi Arabia as the first major foreign trip of his second term just signifies this growing political and economic relationship between the U.S. and Saudi Arabia under the Trump administration. You'll remember that Saudi Arabia was also where President Trump had chosen to take his first foreign trip in his first term. And he's once again breaking tradition by skipping over America's closest neighbors. Now, this does come as the Gulf has played a critical role in mediating conflicts around the world, including the war in Ukraine, with Saudi Arabia serving as a venue for separate U.S. talks with both Russia and Ukraine. This also comes as the Trump administration is trying to make progress when it comes to the humanitarian crisis and the war in Gaza. Now, when it comes to that luxury plane, it certainly raises questions about whether or not it's legal for the Trump administration and ultimately the Trump Presidential Library Foundation to accept such a valuable gift from a foreign power. But sources are telling us that both the White House and the Department of Justice have concluded that because the gift doesn't come with any conditions, it's not conditioned on any official act, they're considering that this does not constitute bribery.
Mick, what's most at stake as President?
So let's go into this. So he is accepting a plane from Saudi. Let's go into it. What is your thoughts on that?
If you go back and do the history on that plane was on the market in 2012 to be sold. They couldn't sell it. It's a piece of junk, and they couldn't sell it. They had to pay storage fees, upkeep, maintenance, all that on it. So they decided to move that responsibility and that burden from the Saudi government to the United States. What's the best way to give somebody something you don't want? And we call it a Trojan Horse because in order to modify that plane to even come close to Air Force One, it's going to cost close to $1 billion. They got to strip it all.
So why does he need a plane other than Air Force One? Why does he need that plane, a new plane?
Greed, a narcissistic concept of mind, and he want to be king. When they gave it, you're going to hear about what the backlash is. See, the news media is one of the best used to use for to promote a propaganda and an idea. So yeah, they say it's not bribery. What do you think it is? Because under the 1789 Constitution, he couldn't receive it, but he's the commander in chief, right? He's not the president. He's the commander in chief, and he over the military, as we discussed the other week.
Mm-hmm.
Now, why would they give him this? You give him something that they don't want. It wasn't like they built it and say, look, here's a gift for you. Now check out the rest of this.
Trump meets with these leaders.
So, Phil, of course, there is a lot of economic aspects to this, particularly investments in the United States when it comes to these countries. But it's also important to point out that a lot of our military assets in the region are housed and hosted by these countries, including our forward command center for Central Command and our major air operations, major maritime operations are all in this region, some of which are hosted by the countries you already mentioned. So it is important for us to show our appreciation for that because it gives us the ability to project force to this region that's really unparalleled among any other countries.
And Selena, these trade talks between the U.S. and China are underway, as you know, in Switzerland. I know you've been digging into this. Any progress towards lowering tariffs yet?
Yeah, well, we're on day 2 now of these talks in Switzerland, and it's unclear exactly where these discussions stand, but we're getting positive signs from the White House. So you have President Trump posting on Truth Social that great progress is being made, adding that it was a, quote, total reset. Treasury Secretary Scott told reporters today in Switzerland that, quote, substantial progress has been made and that a briefing will be held tomorrow on the conversations. This also comes as Trade Representative Jamieson Greer told reporters that a deal has been made with China. Take a listen to what else he said.
All right. So basically, because we're not going to go into that deal with China just yet. We want to go into this plane. So I'm going to just show you. So we're showing that Trump went over there, got a plane from Saudi. Let's hear what the Saudi Arabians what they had to say about his trip to Saudi.
Okay.
Hold on, let me see. Hold on.
The robber to the Middle East.
Can you hear that?
Truly regret.
Bring the bottom and let's bring it back and so they can really hear it.
He didn't come to discuss cooperation. He came to collect tributes, fountains, palaces, golden welcoming ceremonies, light shows, private flights. In his eyes, these grand gestures are not courtesies, but spoils of war. I originally thought he was here to negotiate partnerships, but it turned out to be nothing but his personal showcase tour. What he needs is not allies, but admirers. Those luxury cars, honor guards, and palace banquets were all meant to please him. As long as he feels like a king, he will almost agree to any deal. He revels in luxury and craves media attention. He doesn't understand real diplomacy, only how much he can gain from us. He doesn't need agendas, he just needs cameras. We weren't engaging in international relations. It was more like participating in his grand reality show. Next time, I'd rather host dancers from the Crazy Horse Paris than light a single lamp for him again.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
and it's cool. And then if you go back and you can just don't take my word for it, go back and look at the history of that plane and they was trying to sell it back I think in 2012 and nobody would buy it. It became a Trojan, not Trojan, it became a pink elephant in their government because just to upkeep that thing. So they decided, seeing that he's going to be a king and say egotistical and all this, let's just give this responsibility to the American people. Let them pay the cost to do all this upkeep and all this. No way under the sun. Damn it to call you back. I'm on the show, okay? That's my baby boy. And so now this is no attack respect. I'll ask y'all, don't believe nothing that I'm saying. Don't get all offended. Don't get your hair in a bunch. You go do the research. Research that particular aircraft, when it was built, and when it went on the market and they couldn't sell it. So what's the next thing you do with stuff like that? You use it. You can call it bribery, but see, so well, that wasn't bribery. What do you think it was? No, it wasn't. It was that I'll just give you my junk, to you and you take care of.
So you're saying to make that plane into an Air Force One level plane, it would take $1 billion.
Big and plus. Because they got to go and strip it down and make sure that there is no listening devices to record anything that happens on that plane, because the big thing now is information getting out. Supposing they don't do that and that plane got all kind of recording and equipment on it, and they can hear everything that goes on that plane. They're not going to jump from that plane because Air Force One has got an operating room on it. It's got a hospital on board. It's got a lot of things got to be put on this plane. Be able to stay in the air and be refueled in air while it's moving. You understand? There's a lot of things. Being in the Air Force, we used to being in Air Force, they had aircrafts that could refuel fighter jets while they're already in the air. They had tankers. This plane had to be set to be refueled in while it's in a flight. So a lot has to be done. But you can ask what it would cost to to take this plane and modify it to meet the standards that the government requires for this aircraft to be classified as Air Force One. Then it's got to be commissioned by the government, by Congress to become Air Force One. You just don't switch it over. There is a process it has to go through in order for it to be accepted or named Air Force One. You got Air Force One and Air Force Two, because one is for the vice president. It's not a jumbo jet. The Air Force One is a jumbo jet, but Air Force Two, it's gonna have that hump on it. It's a different style. But Air Force One, your commanding chief is on there. All these people, it's set up a certain way. Then they got to have an anti device on it to fight off any attempts to blow it up or to shoot it down. So we talking about it says 3.2 billion. That's a 747. The other one is not a 747.
Is Air Force One, perhaps the most recognizable aircraft on Earth. But look closer. It's not just a plane. It's a flying fortress, a communications hub, and an unmistakable symbol of American power, wrapped in that iconic blue and white paint scheme. And here's the kicker. Every minute this marvel spins in the air costs American taxpayers exactly $3,433. Do the math, and you're looking at $206,000 per hour of operation. But what are we really paying for? Why does moving a single person require such an extraordinarily expensive transportation system? Picture this. You're 45,000 feet above the Earth's surface, cruising at 575 miles per hour while simultaneously running the world's most powerful country. That's precisely what Air Force One enables the president to do. The current presidential fleet consists of two highly customized Boeing 747-200s, designated as VC-25As by the military. But calling these planes customized barely captures the reality. These aren't just modified commercial aircraft. They're essentially flying White Houses, purpose-built to serve as mobile command centers. Each aircraft has 3 levels and offers 4,000 square feet of floor space, roughly the size of a large American home, but packed into the fuselage of a jumbo jet. The president's area includes a large office, conference room, and private quarters with a bathroom and a shower. There's even a medical suite that can function as an operating room, staffed by a doctor permanently assigned to the president. This redundancy extends beyond the systems of the aircraft themselves. There are always 2 identical planes, partly for security through obscurity. Hence, no one knows for sure which one is carrying the president, but also to ensure there's always a backup aircraft available. However, Air Force One's truly remarkable features are the ones you can't see. Look at this control room. It's the heart of what makes this aircraft so special. Air Force One is equipped with 85 telephones, multiple fax machines, wireless internet, and military-grade encrypted communication systems. The president can make secure calls to anyone in the world from 45,000 feet, even during a nuclear blast. Speaking of nuclear blasts, Air Force One's electronic systems are hardened against electromagnetic pulses, or EMPs for short, that would disable conventional aircraft electronics. Its fuselage is armored, and it's equipped with advanced electronic countermeasures, including defensive flares, electronic jamming equipment, and technology to divert heat-seeking missiles. Though the exact specifications remain classified, aviation experts confirm the aircraft can withstand significant external threats while maintaining full operational capability. And it can do all of this indefinitely because of this feature. Known as aerial refueling, this practice involves flying within 75 feet of a KC-135 Stratotanker like this one, and taking on fuel while still flying. Though rarely practiced for security reasons, this capability means that in a worst-case scenario, the commander-in-chief would continue to lead the nation from the skies for days, or even weeks if necessary. And he would be doing so with one of the best aviation engineering plants in the world. The engines powering Air Force One are themselves engineering marvels. The current VC-25As use 4 General Electric CF6-80C2B1 high bypass turbofan engines that each generate approximately 56,750 pounds of thrust. These engines were selected not just for their power, but for their exceptional reliability record. According to General Electric's internal data, these engines have accumulated over 50 million flight hours with commercial operators worldwide, and their reliability rate exceeds 99.98%. But what makes these engines truly special are the modifications for presidential use. Engineers apply special acoustic treatments to reduce the engine's noise signature, and additional shielding protects critical engine control systems from electromagnetic interference. Perhaps most crucially, the engines feature specialized sensors that can detect potential failures before they occur. This allows for preventative maintenance to occur before a problem arises that ensures the president is never stranded due to mechanical issues. And the engines definitely need to be reliable.
Bottom line, this plane is off the chain. Okay. I only got to watch the whole 15-minute thing to say this thing is off the chain. This plane is nothing to be F with.
Nothing. Come on.
Air Force One ain't nothing to F with. Okay. So they just gave him this plane, and they're just the Saudi government said, okay, well, you know what? Here's another plane, and because of Trump's greed and whatever,
yeah,
he say, go ahead, and I want this plane. I want this luxury
to be added to my what you call it, a state, added to my assets. It's It could never.
Do you get to keep these planes once So what the heck is so they gotta how are they gonna get this over to America? They're gonna fly it over here.
They're gonna,
Can it still fly, or is it just sitting there? Just can't.
It's gonna fly over and it's going in storage. This government, we're already $39.6 trillion in debt to all the other countries. Where you gonna get the money from to modify this other plane that you need to make it even come close to Air Force One? Now, mind you, they got 2 of them. See, 2 747s, and you got the other plane that the vice president uses. They didn't bring that one up. Deep, and that's what diversionary. They can't put them both in there. You don't know which one that he's on because they are twins. 2 747s.
So he just want to be
king. Want to be king. I want to be recognized the most popular man. Anyway, remember I told you about what it said.
And don't even realize this could be something that they could just crash that bitch into the ground.
Yeah, but it's gonna be hard because the way it's set up to avoid that. But remember this, and I want to carry a step further. What did it say in Ifa about the spirit of the white man? He wants to be God. They have this a God complex. I want to be king. They say we don't want no king. Well, I want to be a dictator. Well, is he above the law? Well, under the 1871 Constitution, he's the CEO. There is nothing that the 1789 can do because it is not enforced. When the country went bankrupt, and I wish we could pull up that 1781 organic Constitution, how that the banking cartel bought because of the debt, the country is in mortgage to the 7 wealthiest families in the world, not counting the countries that they are all got investment in. And Trump wants to build a $1.some billion golf course over there in Saudi Arabia. Now Tiger Woods already made a deal.
So is he trying to build his own real estate empire through the presidency?
Yes. Tiger Woods has already got a golf course that is unmatched by and the Saudi prince, and Tiger owns it. They don't talk about that. His thing is better than the PGA. It's better than Augusta. The man owns an island. Tiger Woods do, and it's got a golf course on it. That's why Trump didn't say nothing about when Tiger
So is
started.
he trying to compete with Tiger Woods at this point? Like
Tiger Woods in the family because he's with Jared's ex-wife. Tiger is with Jared's ex-wife.
who is Jared?
Trump's son.
Oh wow. Wow. Tiger Woods is with Jared's ex-wife.
Pull it
And
up.
so he put this whole thing. He wants a golf course too now.
I'm telling you.
And he gotta like outdo Tiger Woods on the golf course.
He want to know that he's associated with it. The man like to have a glamour light on it. And if you doubt what I'm saying, pull him up. Who is Tiger Woods dating now? Jared, ex-wife. All a part of the window dressing for society. But remember, we still dealing with that government that you don't see. And that's what's running the country. We're talking about Trilateral Commission. We're talking about the Bilderbergs. We're talking about Council on Foreign Relations. And we're talking about the Federalist Organization. What we got?
Tiger Woods is dating Donald Trump Jr.'s ex-wife, Vanessa Trump, reports.
Documentation beats conversation. Oh God, you twisted. And that is no AI. That's it.
Tiger Woods is dating Donald Trump Jr.'s ex-wife. And that says March, as of March 13th, 2025. Now it is U.S. news, but you know what? They still be telling it. They be telling the truth.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So now that we get into that, okay, so Trump is trying to get the biggest airplane, as we can see right here. He want the biggest plane. He want the biggest plane that everybody would see in the air if he were to get into that. He don't want to be on Air Force One. That ain't good enough for him. He want this thing. It has 15 floors or whatever. It looks crazy. It looks like a real wild plane, right?
Yeah,
He's
but
going
remember,
to build up his real estate portfolio while he's in office as the president. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's when the
On
president.
top of building golf courses in Saudi.
Golf courses and hotels. But you heard what the Saudi prince said. You heard what the Saudi prince said, that they hadn't even invited the man.
They didn't even invite him. He just came over there and expected.
No, they hated that they invited him. They was trying to cut some kind of partnership because everybody's trying to get some more stock in the corporate America because we are the biggest consumers of all so-called corporations in the world. We're not producers, we're consumers. And as I told you before another show, the Bible says, or the text says, the borrower is a slave to the lender. We pulled it up. Here we go. Play it again.
I'm gonna play it one more time for people that didn't see it. People in the back that didn't see it.
Regret inviting Trump the robber to the Middle East.
Trump the robber.
He came to collect tributes, fountains, palaces, golden welcoming ceremonies, light shows, private flights. In his eyes, these grand gestures are not courtesies, but spoils of war. I originally thought he was here to negotiate partnerships, but it turned out to be nothing but his personal showcase tour. What he needs is not allies, but admirers. Those luxury cars, honor guards, and palace banquets were all meant to please him. As long as he feels like a king, he will almost agree to any deal. He revels in luxury and craves media attention. He doesn't understand real diplomacy, only how much he can gain from us. He doesn't need agendas, he just needs cameras. We weren't engaging in international relations. It was more like participating in his grand reality show. Next time, I'd rather host dancers from the Crazy Horse Paris than light a single lamp for him again.
Bro, that is crazy. That is the craziest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Okay.
So let's get into it. I'm still waiting on your people to come, but okay, let's go.
Yeah, and I'm waiting. They should be popping in. I know Brother Manhattan was over. And remember, we're not just out there beating our guns. You have to look behind. As the old folks say, you got to read between the lines. They show society one thing, but behind the curtain, it's a whole lot of monkey business going on. And if you go back and remember, Kamala Harris, Vice President, told America, this is the nature of this man. She told him on the campaign trail. Everybody know I was wave a few trinkets in front of him, and the man will sell his soul for a jelly roll. And it's been proven. Now they not. I'm not. I mean, you know, they may knock me out.
And this is not an anti-Trump campaign. It's just
no, it's not. It's a fact finding. Look what we've got running the country. Look what we're up against. And 340 million people alive is in the hand of one man and his greed or whatever.
Do you think that Kamala would have been different?
Yes. But remember, this country has an 80% misogynistic nature across culture because of religion. The Bible deems the woman as the downfall of mankind. Most other religions do. Only one that does not, and that's African spirituality. We supposed to uplift. We deal with most countries are patriarchal, and we're a matriarch. You think I'm not? Look at the teachings of the process. Most mainline religion has no respect for the feminine gender. The only one that really do anything is African spirituality, not I call it Al-Qubelon, you know, Al-Qubelon. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's the only one. I don't call it that because that means you're conquered twice. You said you're an African American. Africa been conquered, and the other one has been conquered. You've been conquered. You've been enslaved under both of these. No, I'm a universal spiritualist, and my thing, I operate on the 6th, 7th dimension. We don't deal with the third. Am I just beating my guns? I'm just showing you documents. Now people get mad, upset, whatever, but we're giving you this information, you know.
I'm about to play this real quick. I want you to check this out.
The oldest book in the Bible, Job. And in the book of Job, I ask you to turn to chapter 38 and read with me, if you can, where in 38, 31, 32, and 33, something very important is said concerning astrology. In chapter 38, 33, first, the scripture says, knowest thou the ordinances of heaven? In other words, there are ordinances in heaven. Right. And 31 now, going back to 38, 31, God says to Job, according to the scripture, can thou bind the sweet influences of the Pleiades or loose the bands of Orion? What are we talking about here? The Pleiades, an astrological symbol in the zodiac. And God is supposedly saying to Job, can thou bind the sweet influences? What influences? I thought that that's all evil. That's all astrology. That's that New Age stuff. We don't have anything to do with that. And here God is saying to his prophet Job, can thou bind the sweet influences of the Pleiades or loose the bands of Orion? Can thou bring forth Mazzaroth in his season? Now there's a heavy piece of information.
Right.
God is saying to Job in 32, 38, 32, can thou bring forth Mazzaroth in his season? Or can thou guide Arcturus with his sons? We're talking astrology here. Now, if you go to the King James Version, that's the version that God spoke. And if we read from the King James Bible what the word Mazzaroth means. Here in the King James, in the interpreting dictionary, in the back of the King James, we look at the word Mazzaroth. And here we see Mazzaroth means the 12 signs of the zodiac.
There again, misleading because it's 13 signs.
Aha. So let's
And
get into
that,
this.
and we're proving that.
Right. And that's a cue to go check out the principle of EFI, where you break down the lunar calendar.
Yeah.
And the calendar we should be on.
Yeah.
But the bottom line is that, we are being guided by.
We believe the Bible. We present the Bible. And we done proved it. We done proved it. This is what I tell you. The most substantial thing out there is not what is not written, that you can actually see and go and check it. But back to this hidden government, then I was hoping they could get on because we was talking about the Federalist Papers, the Federalist movement, the 12 federal banks. There's the federal government that runs all this, and the United States is a military power. It's a corporation, and their job is to enforce. Oh, here we go. Yeah. Get on down, look. That's the 1871 organic, and it should get down a little further. It talks about the government, because of the debt it had incurred, they had to go in and it became a corporation. And this debt, in order to borrow the money, they had to go into an agreement. They said, what we got here? He says, instead, pass the organic, which revoked the individual charter of the city of Washington. So we talking about charters of businesses. You know that. Keep going. The act did not establish a new city. A government was just regarded. It stated that the portion of that's about DC. He said, Just I'm hoping about my hair because we've got a whole letter on that about the corporations, the family names along with the Rothschilds and others that bought the debt, that controls the debt, and now the debt has been sold. That's why Trump want to have this big parade on his birthday with all these tanks and stuff. My people, my people, my people. And we're sitting there glorying in this stuff and don't realize what's going on. And I was still trying, there should be another one. It was called the 1871 Organic, and you got another one. I'm trying to think of it. But so a lot of things are not like it looks, okay? This is what we got here, sister. This act repeatedly involved the charters of the cities and consolidated them into one unit. While this act was repealed, it was significant because it created the first municipal government in district before passage. That's why DC does not have a seat of senator in office. So what we got here, the next thing on this, the 1871 we need to be really studied close because that's the one that's carrying the weight. What's going on? Then you got the 1709. This is. But one says it takes exactly when they that this was a corporation. That the United States is a corporation. Is the United States a country or a corporation? So I want is the United States. Get clear that I can go back. Let's see what we got. Oh, here we go. What it says, power single to the municipality, corporate. Like I said, this does not mean it is a business. Yes, it does. It's privately owned. Yes, it does. It's called conspiracy. Everything that oh yeah, right. All we ask them to do is do the research. And the sad thing, you remember one time they was talking about how could America be broke when the print's own money? Well, common sense is the more money you print, the less value your money is. The more money you print, the more it devalues the money that you got in circulation. And a lot of folks don't know that just because you can print it, don't mean that it holds value. It don't. And then what do you have? And you remember, if you go back, Trump is dealing now in cryptocurrency. That whole thing was about crypto. One while he hated crypto. Now he loves cryptocurrency. One day he hates bubblegum. Tomorrow he loves bubblegum. The man is, I mean, you know, and this is what even the book says, double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. One day we got tab, and I'm going to pause the tab. It's if he's playing the carrot and mule game with our lives. One day we're going to get this. Tomorrow we're not. We're going to get that now. I don't think whatever he think about when he wake up is what he do. No attack, just facts. Now for the citizens out there, you was complaining about. But remember, now I'm talking shortcut myself. That the government, that this corporation is not decided by it's not what you call it. Determined by popular vote. It's determined by electoral colonies. Electoral colonies determined by how many folks votes in the populace to give each state a certain amount of electoral votes. They was able to buy the election with what Elon. Now he wants to get rid of Elon because Elon was getting too much credit and getting to be too much what you call popularity, and Donald Trump didn't want that. You know, he went and created a department to put him over that never existed before. How do you do that? What is the power of executive order?
Right.
All the man signing and more executive order. Executive order is not law. The same way that he write them, Congress or Senate can go in and veto every one of them. But they don't. And why do people so-called fear this man? Because he got people out there that love him, that will put their life on the line, and he ain't got to do nothing. You saw that on January 6th. So what do you think, Coach? But see, there's a prophecy out there, and I was hoping my brother Maher would get on, and because he can get on, because he has the that he's able to get. I don't know where he's at right now, because he worked for the government. I mean, for the Veterans Administration, and he's in the field. But anyway, is anybody in here that does not agree or have a way they want to put something in the chat?
I'm gonna play this real quick. I want you to check this out. All right,
okay.
Because this is a very interesting conversation over that. Okay,
check it. Park eating jelly sandwiches. Talking about, well, we showing those Negroes, and you living worse. That's why they get so. The white supremacists call up here all the time, pocket watching us. The first thing they see, how much money you guys have. Look at all the money you make. Oh my God. Because then you realize all of your racism, you ain't got no money. But we do understand your whiteness has monetary value. But that's like a get out of jail free card. And that's the little thing that they give you. They're like, yeah, we're not going to give you any big tangibles. We're not going to give you what we got. You're not going to get the yachts and then the mansions and the trips and all that. No, you're going to stay in your trailer. But we got a little insurance policy for you. If you get in trouble, we ain't going to let you go to jail. So yeah, you can rape the little people in your neighborhood. You can smoke your meth and all of that. And we'll just turn a blind eye. You're not going to be balling out, but we're not going to let you get mass incarcerated like the Negroes. You need to lower some of your OnlyFans prices. All right.
White supremacist lady that, and I'm just saying,
white people in this country to be cognizant of that.
Enforcement, and then when law enforcement sees it, they don't even report.
White people in this country.
Really?
Austin Metcalf's family.
When black folks give them that word on video, it turns the white supremacists off to even want to fund that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, oh, now you embarrassing us as a collective. I can't support that.
Right.
So I'm not inciting them. I'm just saying it's an interesting observation when you're confronted and they're looking for a little financial come up. When you get that act right with them, then all of a sudden the gameplay don't work like that.
Right. But you're not okay. I think Jake was trying to get in on his Finster account and it didn't work.
Yeah, so I want you to check this out. Watch this.
Jake, you can call up. You call back up and let us know what's on your mind. Let us know what's going on with your Jake. Excuse me. Yeah, like
now,
I said,
this is the guy. He
like. Hold on, let's
like
see if Jake is going to say something.
Chat. So
all right, Jake, hop back in. I can hear you. What's going on, Jake?
God bless all that are listening tonight. How are you?
I am good. What's going on with you, Jake?
Tarek, forgive my ignorance. Are you the same Tarek that is the PR stuntman for Austin Metcalf's family?
No.
Okay. I thought we were going to have a much crazier debate that you were asking or conversation that you were asking me to come up after my recent protest out there.
Yeah, but I'm very supportive of our brother Carmelo. I'm very supportive of him for self-defense. But you were the one out there with the protest. You had the was it the White Lives Matter protest or something, right?
We hosted a Protect White Americans rally in support of the egregious interracial violence that's being perpetrated on white people in this country.
Really? Now, where is this violence happening, and where is it being perpetrated? Who's harming white people systematically?
So there are 41-to-1 interracial violent episodes between blacks to whites as compared to whites on blacks. And I just noticed
we know that's inaccurate. You know why? Because white law enforcement agencies rarely report those crimes where white people are harming black people. And we see videos every day. Those are not even reported by the police. Even the hundreds of videos we see daily where white people are trying to terrorize, harm children, harm black people, assault. Most of those are not even reported to law enforcement. And then when law enforcement sees it, they don't even report that to the federal authorities. So let's put everything in context when you say that. Now, black people, everything we do is reported. So go ahead.
Right. What do you think about what he said so far?
Well, that's a part of the scam, of the sham, to make this the numbers that they play with to make it look like that they are victims, and everybody else is out for them, and that's sad. That's sad. And this, I'm laughing because if we go back and look at history and look at what we're going on, as my boy say, it won't hold water. It won't hold water. And this thing about whites being this, that's been the game for a long time. Before, when I was coming up, they was telling that, the black folks gonna take the white man's jobs. Now it went from white to Mexicans taking the job. Now the immigrants taking the job. It's the same playbook over to create animosity between the lower class, they want to call it. You got the upper class, middle class, and lower class. So, and then the man in the middle It's what he is, the man in the middle, you know. And they use these things as buffers. But mind you this, there is, I think it's 7 or 8 families, Richmond, that controls the destiny of the United States corporation. Has nothing to do with racial, because they use that as distractions. If you type in what are the richest family that controls the destiny, or controls the wealth of this country, and they have investments in other countries like in Russia and like in China. There was a thing called the International Jew. Have you ever heard of it?
The International Jew?
Yeah.
No, I haven't.
It tells you what people don't realize is this: all of this window dressing, and they're gonna call me anti-Semitic and all that. That's bullshit. Because the word anti-Semitic means anti-language. Because the word is Semitic language, and it's both came from Shem, but I'm gonna say it anyway. The so-called Zionist organization, WZO, they use the female to get into governments that control other countries. It's called the International Jew, written by Henry Ford. See if you can pull that up. There are things we have to look at that we don't look at because we're so busy chasing that Chicken Little syndrome. There's a thing called the Committee of 300. There's a thing called Protocol of the Learned Elders of Zion. Behold, pawns in the game. You probably heard of it. What is it? The Pale Horse, you know.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I heard. I've seen that book. Yeah.
Yeah. There are other books out there. Then you got let's see what we got. Yeah. It's a whole playbook.
So they say that it's a 4-volume set of anti-Semitic booklets. So they're saying it's anti-Semitic.
Yeah, but and people feel that.
But did Henry Ford wrote that? Was he Jewish?
Yeah.
So Henry Ford had a book called The International Jew.
Right. And it goes through the whole thing.
The International Jew is a 4-volume set of anti-Semitic booklets or pamphlets originally published, distributed in early 1920s by Dearborn Publishing Company, an outlet owned by Henry Ford, the American industrialist and automobile manufacturer.
Mm-hmm.
So what did it discuss in that book?
It gets off into the power that the WOZ has, how that the Zionists is running things and how they set up the government. That's why, and they was trying to debunk the book called Protocol of the Learned Elders of Zion. It is the whole playbook, how they going to take over, how they going to buy governments, how they going to buy judges and politicians and run the world through that, because you don't need to fire, you don't need a war. All you need is media and finance both sides. The Rothschild was known for financing both sides of the wall. That's how the Rothschild, that's not their name, that's the name they created, to finance a wall. So that way you don't look, you're paying both sides. Isn't it ironic, sister, that Russia is supporting Ibrahim over there in Africa?
Traore.
Huh?
Ibrahim Traore. They're supporting
him. Yeah, and the Russians are behind him.
Mm. And then America's going against that.
Yeah, but guess what? But ain't America and Russia in the bed together?
Yeah. So this whole thing is really like some fake stuff. So when it seemed like you have Russia teaming up with this person and America is supposedly in like an uproar about it, everybody's really in bed together. So therefore, they really ain't mad. You know,
and it's only for
they're not mad at China. They're not mad at this one. They're just like making moves to like sway the people a certain way to make
the whole thing is keep the people in confusion and chaos, and then you're always distracted. Let me tell you something, and this gonna sound crazy. I'm still talking about the hidden government. Anytime things get more media coverage than President Trump, with respect, he gonna step in and insert himself in there so he don't get left out. Have you seen how many movies going back in the back in the 70s and 80s where Trump name comes up in the conversation in a lot of movies?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Even in Rush Hour, his name come up. A lot of things. He been playing on that name, but remember, his real name is what?
Dump.
Thank you.
Or Drump. Drump or something like that, right?
Dump, something like that. Okay. So where am I going with this? So the whole thing is my brand, my name. Now, problem is this: what happens if the man drop dead tomorrow?
We don't know.
Okay.
Let me show you this real quick while we're still waiting on your friends to come up here. Yeah. I want to show about the PSYOP. So Chase Hughes is a well-known person, and I play this a lot whenever I'm doing shows like this because I want people to be able to see it. Let's go.
Let's do this. So the first thing you need to know is following the FATE model: focus, authority, tribe, and emotion. This is what triggers the mammalian part of our brain that makes all of our real decisions. The first part is focus. PSYOPs always aim to hijack your attention with repetition, shocking visuals of fear-inducing scenarios. Some examples are like 24/7 media coverage of a crisis or constant repetition of terms like unprecedented. So with this, pause and ask, why is this message being pushed so aggressively? So compare how much airtime different stories are receiving and note any disproportionate focus. The second part here is authority. Trusted figures might shift their tone or positions unnaturally to support the narrative. So watch very closely for expert panelists or endorsements where authority figures might speak outside of their expertise. Pay close attention to that one. Then we have tribe. So messages that polarize opinions or create stark in groups versus out groups or exploit our tribal instincts. For example, labeling groups as patriots versus traitors or scientific versus deniers. Be very careful when you hear that language. Finally, we have emotion. So be wary of any communication that triggers strong emotions like fear, hope, or outrage without any clear, verifiable evidence. So emotional responses suppress critical thinking. Emotional responses suppress critical thinking. So as a tip here, analyze the evidence that's presented to you. If facts are replaced by appeals to emotion, you need to be very, very cautious. As an example of this, think about like a news channel repeatedly showing images of empty grocery shelves and panicked shoppers during a food supply scare. It dominates every broadcast and it pushes people into fear-driven behavior. Next, question novelty. Our brains are wired to focus on sudden or unusual changes because they signal potential threats or opportunities. And this is an evolutionary survival mechanism. PSYOPs exploit this by creating events that break normal expectations, like unexpected crises or dramatic revelations. So ask yourself, why is this new? So consider if the event or somebody's message has been artificially manufactured or timed. Look for patterns like sudden shifts in public opinion, trending hashtags that are unusual, or viral videos that seem very coincidental. So for this one, just picture a new viral video just claims to expose a government cover-up, but it conveniently comes out the exact same day that there's some damaging evidence against some high-ranking official. The timing shifts public focus. All of this is part of the NCI system I developed for teaching tradecraft and extreme psychological operations. And there's even a gigantic textbook for all of this stuff in the description. Definitely not for everybody, but it's definitely the most comprehensive guide in the world on this stuff. So next item, look for multiple sources. Centralized narratives create an echo chamber and they silence dissent and they narrow perspectives. For example, if all media outlets present identical talking points, it is a humongous red flag. So actively seek out contrarian or independent voices, even if they challenge something that's already in your head. In reality, an example, during a maybe breaking health crisis, all the major news outlets report on the exact same study, but independent researchers reveal the study was funded by a company selling the solution. So watch for that group speak. Next is identify cognitive dissonance weapons. Let's talk about how this works. So cognitive dissonance comes up when new information clashes with our identity or our beliefs. So PSYOPs exploit the hell out of this by including micro-agreements. Micro-agreements are little, small, seemingly harmless concessions to shape your identity. And over time, you're going to unconsciously align your behavior to reduce that internal conflict. And as a weaponization example of this, a PSYOP might present you as a part of moral or intelligent enlightenment, like only good citizens do XYZ. If you disagree with that, you risk some identity conflict there. So reflect on your identity and ask, am I being nudged to identify with some other group? So be very careful of any campaigns that are asking for seemingly minor commitments there, like signing petitions, changing your profile picture that evolves into some bigger compliance or demand later. As an example of this, let's say a company launches an ad campaign and they claim real patriots buy local. If you disagree with their product, it feels like rejecting your identity as a patriot. So this pushes you to conform. Be very, very skeptical about those identity statements. Next.
Right. So, I mean, he's saying a lot.
Wow.
So far, what do you think about what he said?
That is the whole scheme of thing, how to say what we're going through now. You know, and I was about to go there. A lot of time to get us sidetracked, chasing the illusion and not seeing the real deal. A lot of folks, for instance, and we're still talking about this government, when Shadora Sanders took over the media with all this thing about the #1 draft pick, you heard nothing about Trump until Trump finds, you know what, let me get in this. So he jumps in and says, y'all need to go ahead and draft him, like he want to have something to do with it, right?
So he got in there and said, y'all need to go ahead.
Yeah, y'all need to go ahead and draft.
So the president of the United States is getting involved with the
he got him when he told him, if y'all don't go in, and I'm gonna go back and recreate my football team, the UFFL, the New Jersey General. You ain't finna bring him because they didn't let you come in when you had him. You ain't finna come in now. But that's because he was trying to get into the narrative so that he was getting left out. But what people don't know, the whole thing behind Shadora and all that hoopla about him not getting drafted #1, he had already cut a deal with the Browns. That was all media hype because as long as he was the focus of the attention, the ratings was going up. The rating going up until he got to 5, and 5 is where they were trying to go. They already knew. The boy, his jersey's outselling. He had nothing to worry about. He out there doing big things while people arguing about where they go first night. Do you know at what level Tom Brady was drafted at?
No.
199.
So they use this draft to like get more ratings for their TV station.
Yeah.
And they might use a person. But people get all bent out of shape. Why did they wait so long to draft him? It made him make less money. I don't think so.
No, it didn't. He made more money.
They said that he only made $4,000 a year when he probably would have made $100,000 if he would have got drafted.
The man already got money. You don't run around with
right. He already got money. Right. His father's
he got plenty of money. He ain't hurting. Daddy just signed a $54 million contract with Colorado for 5 years. He's already got media. He already got a shoe deal, got a jersey, got thing. He's making money. That's chump change.
But to us, you know, they use that to like get us bent out of shape.
Because
create emotion, create like an emotional reaction.
They plays on the emotion. That's the game of most governments. They play on the emotion. Like the guy was saying, they plays on the emotion.
Let's go.
When emotion kicks in, common sense and logic goes out the window.
Let's go.
This is looking for those emotional scripts. And what I mean by this is the scripts that were written in our brains by our ancestors. So manipulated narratives trigger instincts like the fear of loss or scarcity, social rejection, or danger. For example, a media story about food shortages might activate survival scripts that cause panic buying and stuff like that. And we have scarcity fear. This is sudden warnings about limited resources like water or medicine, also sparks that kind of behavior. And then we have tribal rejection. These are threats of being socially outcast, like you're selfish if you don't comply. And those things override logic every time. And as a tip for this, break the script by focusing on the facts. Like, what's the likelihood of this scenario? So compare the claims with other sources. For this, just picture where a politician says something like, if we don't act now, our children will not have a future. This taps into survival instincts, those ancestor scripts in our head, and it's tied to protecting offspring. It creates urgency without any facts. Next is follow the money. So there's a trail of beneficiaries here. So identifying who benefits always is going to reveal the motive. So look for funding sources like sponsorships or political connections that are tied to the narrative. So use tools like OpenSecrets.org or public financial records to see who profits from this. So for policies or campaigns, identify the industries like pharmaceuticals, tech companies, et cetera, that stand to gain the most. So to illustrate this in your mind right now, picture a charity that's promoting clean energy awareness and they seem noble until investigations are showing that it's funded by a solar panel corporation that's lobbying for subsidies or something like that. Next, and this one is very important, is analyze the context boundary. The mechanism here is context, and context defines what is permissible. So manipulative people shift contexts to normalize extreme behavior. As an example of this, in emergencies, people accept surveillance or martial law that they normally would completely resist. So ask, what is the context? Compare some similar events in different settings to see if the rules or responses seem disproportionate. Look for contradictions. So for
all right, so
he's on
and
point.
you always say this: look for the money, right?
Yeah.
Follow the money. Whenever something crazy is going on, follow the money. Go ahead and talk about that.
And not only that, we don't, because we get caught in illusion. There's a company called BlackRock. Have you ever heard of them?
Yeah.
How much are they worth?
BlackRock. Let's look up BlackRock.
Let's put it up. See, they talk about Elon Musk. Let's talk about BlackRock.
Oh my God, astronomical amount. Hold on, let me see. That's crazy. Like, really? Does that even exist though?
BlackRock.
So BlackRock is worth $153.94 billion.
Close to $1 trillion.
Right. So let's get into that.
Yeah. These companies like that, and they are a holding company, what you call a hedge fund that has investment all over. And then if you look at not only just them, you got Amazon is $1 trillion company. BlackRock is $1 trillion company.
Goldman Sachs, Goldman Sachs, anyone that invests in stocks knows Walmart, all these places are billion.
Let's go to Walmart. Let's go to Walmart. That's in the news this week. Trump calls up the people of the so-called administration of Walmart, saying that we want y'all to eat the tariff. You in China. Wait a minute. Walmart in China? Walmart in China? Walmart is the largest supporter of the GOP.
$78.05 billion. That's how much Walmart is.
Yeah.
Worth.
And they are the largest employer of a lot of places, a lot of companies. So, but you want them to do this at the same time. Just think about it. Why is he picking on Walmart? He's not, because Walmart is one of the biggest supporters of the GOP, Grand Old Party. China, everything we get is either going to have China or another country's name stamped in it. They're not, because if you raise the thing,
we don't have no area of town where we're just manufacturing like goods and T-shirts, and we don't have that. The only people that are doing it are prisoners, and they ain't really doing nothing but manufacturing things for the country.
Anything we do is on a low level, but on a mass scale, you can't compete. You can't compete. You can't compete against the low wages and sweatshops and all that.
So this whole thing with China was like really a joke.
It's all of us a joke. Once again, I go back to this. How are you going to tell somebody what they can't do when you owe them?
Right. How much do we owe China?
Huh? It's all window dressing. I call it window dressing. It's a horse and pony show for the public, because it's playing on your, like the guy was saying, on your emotions. We always say, look at the 5 Ws: who, what, when, where, and why. Who stand to gain the most?
The United States owes China approximately $759 billion in debt.
Yeah.
That's enough to own Walmart, because Walmart is worth 70 whatever.
Okay.
Billion.
Keep going. What's the next one?
Huh?
China is the second largest foreign holder of U.S. debt after Japan. Japan debt, they owe, how much do they owe in foreign money?
759.
But
they owe Japan over $1.1 trillion, you guys. And I don't even know how that is, because what are we?
How about Canada? You mess with, how about Canada? How much do we owe Canada?
$378 billion.
Yeah.
So all this like grandstanding that we're gonna like do a tariff war against them is a lie, guys. Please don't believe that. It's a psyop. It's a whole psyop. It's a whole psychological operation meant to lie to us and pretend. What did he say? Follow the money, right? He said,
Follow the
"We
money."
showed you the money. Now let's go.
Lots of the students who are brand new to NCI University, this here is the most massive realization when they realize that the ability to weaponize cognitive dissonance and then shift the context can get anyone to do almost anything. As a hypothetical example of this, let's say there's a major cyber attack. The governments are now justifying some sweeping surveillance laws to protect the citizens. This changes the context to make previously unacceptable actions seem absolutely necessary. Next, spot the use of archetypes because they're woven into our brains. PsyOps simplify narratives by using archetypes like heroes and villains and saviors. Some examples are like portraying one leader as the solution or demonizing dissenters as the enemy. Deconstruct the story. Ask who are the characters and what roles are they playing. Simplistic, like good versus evil stories usually signal manipulation just about every time. So always seek nuance there. In the real world, you're going to see something like maybe a leader is repeatedly portrayed as a savior fighting something that's pure evil, and the narrative ignores their mistakes and oversimplifies the conflict to prevent a lot of scrutiny. Next, evaluate the frame. So let's do a step-by-step evaluation here. First one is expectation. What are you expected to believe or do based on this thing that you're exposed to in the media? Next is belief. What assumptions are being made about your values or your fears? Then we have perception. So how is reality being shaped, like selective facts or missing contexts? And definition is the final step here when it comes to a frame. What truth is being asserted as something that's completely unchallengeable? This comes up with information suppression. So really look for topics that are being avoided, critics that are being silenced. If somebody needs to be silenced in order for an idea to make it, then the idea is not good. So alternative viewpoints being discredited, that's a big one to look out for. So cross-check timelines of events and notice if critics are labeled conspiracists or if algorithms are suppressing some kind of specific search. And this is a big one, especially in today's time. So to get a good example of this, during maybe a corporate scandal, the company's PR team frames these critics as disgruntled employees with a grudge. So this shifts the focus away from the legitimate concerns to the motives of the critics. And it does it almost without us realizing that that's happening in our brain. So next, be alert to rapid compliance shifts. This one is scary and it's happening every day. PsyOps create urgency to drive rapid compliance. And these tactics are stuff like emotional appeals, staged group behaviors, or false consensus. For this, it's really important to slow down and resist the pressure to act, to question the conformity as much as possible, and test the message, engaging the skeptics there. So in the real world, this might look like maybe a viral social media challenge urges all these users to adopt this brand new symbol or profile picture or hashtag kind of overnight, and it creates a wave of compliance. So later, this is kind of like a foot in the door technique. It's tied to some divisive political agenda. Next.
Let me show you this. Right now, you have people that are doing free Diddy. Okay.
Yeah.
Diddy, right, has paid people $20 an hour to be at the trial with free Diddy T-shirts, right? Okay. All over the internet, you're seeing free Diddy, right? Now the trial is not over with, right?
Okay.
It's not over, but he's still utilizing that, trying to sway, because now you're seeing all these YouTubers trying to say that, hey, look, he might stand a chance. When we know that the federal prosecution rate is over 98%.
Yeah.
The chance that he will walk without any conviction is 0 to none. But what he'll do is pay some YouTubers, get people to come out here and say, well, he has a chance, right?
Yeah. And
hope that one of the jurors see that and like starts to think otherwise. And it only takes one juror to sway the rest. So
a measure of doubt can throw a thing into a retrial, a mistrial, or whatever, And like I said, but we have all these things working behind the scene. You got all this window dress and a horse and pony. But what's going on behind the scene? And that's what we talk about today. Everything is not like it appears. There's something, there's an engine, there's an algorithm, there's something that's going on in the back that's going toward a bigger calamity, a bigger control that you don't see. And sometimes every now and then they'll drop a hint of what that's all about. Why did Russia invade Ukraine? Well, because all the grain and stuff they need is in Ukraine. They can't grow this stuff in Russia. You understand? So they want to go in and take the minerals, take them away the resources. Every time we've gone into a war, it ain't about democracy. It's about taking the resources.
Mm-hmm. I heard the Vietnam War was about rubber.
It was about hot poppy. Them poppy fields.
Oh, about the opium there.
Yeah. And IBM was all up in it. All up in it. A lot of guys came back from Vietnam committing suicide. We fighting for democracy. You have fighting for corporate America.
So they tried to they wanted to get control over Vietnam because they wanted to control the opium,
right,
and the poppy seeds that were there. And then now, 10 years later, 20 years later, now we have an opioid epidemic because we now are rolling in poppy. Let's follow the money. After Vietnam, Reagan did a deal with the Contras for what? Drugs and guns. Was that the Watergate thing?
No. That's the Contra thing.
The Iran Contra.
Oliver North. It was for with the Contras. Okay, guns for drugs. The drugs wound up in L.A. among the Crips and the Bloods to dissolve them. Had them fighting over this when they started out as being a community protection group to help. Now you're fighting over what? Drugs and money and guns. And it's still going on. The thing is to create a narrative of demonization. Then you come in and see what people don't realize, and I'm gonna say this because I'm a member of the SCLC. During the civil rights movement.
What is that?
What's
the SCLC?
The Southern Christian Leadership Conference that was founded by Dr. Rob Abernathy and Dr. King, Andy Young, and the guys then, because the NAACP did not want King in the NAACP because Dr. King's daddy was in it, and he told them that they didn't need his kind being with in the NAACP. That's why they organized SCLC, Southern Christian Leadership Conference. It was a counter to the NAACP. Because the NAACP got to be a money making thing. You had to have a certain you need this kind of money and be able to bring more money in. Plus, it's listed as a non-profit organization with a 501(c)(3). Yet you got people that are making millions. When we met in 92, 93 in Dallas, when we had the march against to save the homes in West Dallas, I stayed and visited with Dr. Abernathy. We were set downtown at the Holiday Inn Hotel downtown on Main, and he would tell us things that's going on. Because I was one of the young members of the youth department of NAACP. We went all over Dallas marching and going on, trying to save the housing in West. That's when I found out more about the hidden government and what was going on behind the scenes. And this is no attack. This is a documented fact. When Dr. King came to Dallas, the hidden government, right, gave him $300,000. There's a place called Neiman Marcus, a store. Have you ever heard of them?
Yeah, I know that store down on Commerce. Yeah.
It's owned by the Jews, right?
Yeah.
They're the one that financed Dr. King to come to Dallas. When Dr. King came to Dallas before we had DFW, he landed at Love Airport. Reverend S.M. Wright told him, go back. We don't need you to come here. We niggas are doing all right.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
a lot of these folks now is bragging on King. They couldn't stand Dr. King. You consider a troublemaker.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, you love because I'm
even
dead.
More than Malcolm X? Even more than Malcolm X?
No, Malcolm's another ball game. You know, they laid a lot of they laid that on the Muslim organization when we know it was the CIA and the FBI got together behind that. They had flipped some guys over that would, and they turned them out, call them CIs.
So you're saying that Malcolm X was a CIA agent?
No, I'm saying they went against. No, Malcolm was a warrior. He was not an agent, but Jesse was, and Al Sharpton.
They were both CIA agents.
They're agents. Or war.
Wow.
They had Jesse because he had found $4 million from the Rainbow Coalition. You had the Rainbow Coalition before you had this thing with the gays and with the symbol. Jesse was one that named us African Americans back in their 70s. Jesse claimed he was there when Dr. King got shot holding his head. That's a lie. Dr. Abernathy was holding his head. They had been in the room eating. They had been in the room eating some catfish. They was getting ready to go to a dinner that evening, that day when Dr. King got shot. It was Ralph Abernathy that was in the emergency room with Dr. King when they came to the hospital. Ralph gave us a whole laydown. There's a guy in Dallas named Miriam Barnett. He's on the radio station there in Dallas. I was there for years, but I got him on, and he got his own show. It's called Community Information Open Forum. The same thing as my show in Louisiana. Talk to Miriam Barnett. He'll tell you some things that would raise the hair on the back of your neck about what went on with that movement.
Well, I heard that they killed him. They killed Dr. King. You know what I'm saying? The doctor did.
The doctor didn't. The doctor didn't do that. Dr. Abernathy said because the bullet went through the chin and severed the spine of Base's neck, that Dr. King would be a vegetable. He asked Dr. Abernathy, who was in the room, would not leave the room, and said, listen, either he can live and be a vegetable, or because he got a 50-50 chance. He can either be a vegetable with only neck movement, or you can let him go out with honor. The doctor did not smother his face. They let him pass on. The lady come out with a book to the man smothered him. No, they didn't.
So that was a lie?
It was a lie.
Wow.
I'm talking to the man that was standing right there when Dr. King took his last breath. Later on, they got rid of him at the doctor's office and they gave him that shot till he had a heart attack and died. Abernathy. Dr. Ralph David Abernathy.
So were the Black Panthers, were they CIA? Like some of the people that got into the Black Panthers?
They got infiltrated like most groups do. When they get these guys, get in these groups, they flip these guys. They get criminal records, they create records. And if you don't do it, you're gonna get this kind. It's the same game they run today. You always got some infiltrators. They flip people. They get them in there to spy on your organization. Same thing with the Ku Klux Klan and the Aryan Nation and all that. The government puts spies everywhere. We still talking about the government you don't see. They tell us one thing in the public, get us like the guy. Now I like that side up thing about how they play on emotions. That's how they play this thing out. And if you look at it very closely, real close, you'll see the game. Have you heard of the thing called The Art of War?
Yes.
Have you ever read it?
No, I haven't read it, but I've heard of it. Yeah.
You might need to get it and read it. The one I got is called Shambhala Dragon, The Art of War. Every Black family need to read The Art of War. Everybody think they want to know something. You need to read The Art of War, the major strategy book. Anything you do was business, anything with somebody where there's an opponent, you need to read The Art of War.
So do you think that also, like, okay, you're talking about the whole thing what happened with the Vietnam War and the poppy seeds. I don't know where I got the whole thing with the rubber. I thought that they were trying to make it into rubber.
No, you got plenty of rubber. It was not. If you ask any Vietnam vet, They can tell you the big thing was a pop. If you can, the boy was getting high and a jaw to find over them niggas were getting high and going out there. But see, they knew what the deal was.
So do you think that the black soldiers were like almost like a test to see? Like almost like test dummies, like okay, get the like have them try it and and then
let's check that off. Anytime you go in the military as a foot soldier, you are a test dummy. You are a bullet stopper. Black, white, blue, green, polka dot, Indian, day. If you in infantry, if you are in infantry, know surely you there to stop bullets or to catch some.
Well, I know that in the military we are definitely lab rats because honey, I don't even know what they shot into my arm when I joined. That I was just going down the line. They just shooting this, shooting that, and shooting.
When I went in the Air Force, they gave us 32 shots. Some with a needle, and some with that air. One that got the air behind it, needle. They line you up and they shooting on both sides.
Yeah, same thing with me. Yep, same thing.
Yeah, I was in the Air Force.
When you go through the MEPS, you take that oath. And honey, the next thing you do, they send you through that line and foul. You just walking down the line, just bare armed, and they just hitting you all both sides, arms killing you.
You say don't move because it'll bust your skin. Yeah, what? Yeah. I was in the military. I was in the they called air police at that time. They didn't change to something else. And I was stationed at Lackland for boot camp. And I stayed there another 8 to go to a police academy. Then in my first duty state, I was shipped out to Nellis Air Force Base in Las Vegas. I was stationed there in the security and law enforcement. I seen a lot of stuff come through there. I was there the day that Kennedy landed there on his grand tour. We stood watch on Air Force One. That's how I know about Air Force, because we had to stand guard on Air Force One. We was there when they brought this stealth bomber. I mean the UFO ship that they brought out there on this 100-wheel crawler that they put inside of Lake Mead, inside the mountain there, that they call Area 51 inside the mountain at Lake Mead. We were there. I was there.
When they put the UFO
and they built the stealth bomber off of that alien ship. That's where they got the design from. And they showed you that in Independence Day. That's the one that they hid. They claimed they got out of war out of Mexico. You got a good
some wild stuff. Like, trust me, I was like, wow.
You know,
if people knew the things that happen in the military, you would be like, what?
Those big drones that flies all over, they're controlled out of Nellis. The guys at Nellis has got what you call the joysticks. They can set in Nellis and send a drone in off of one of the battleships and tank. They can hit the capital of Russia and Moscow and never leave Las Vegas.
Honey, I know that. Listen, I know for a fact that's true because listen, they have like some stuff even in DC that's off the chain that I saw.
I'm telling you. And now,
but you saw that, you were seeing stuff like that when you were in office.
Yes, ma'am. That's back in the 60s.
A joystick that with a drone that could go over.
That is nothing new. That is not. There is 11-mile city underground in that mountain out there where technology is already 20 years ahead.
Man, let me tell you something. They had that whole thing going on in New Jersey where they were talking about like all those like UFO ships that were coming out the water, and all of a sudden they was hitting all the Air Force bases and people were afraid to take the planes off. And I was like, that's a military operation. I just knew it. I was like, no, that's military. That's a straight up military operation. There's no way that anyone's going to occupy any airspace and the military is not involved with it and they don't know what's going on. Come on now. I don't care what kind of UFO you think it is. That's straight up drones. Some new shit that they're testing out. And then kind of find out Lockheed Martin Had a new ship thing they were testing out. You know what I'm saying?
Got nothing they're working on.
You know what I'm saying? And they had to fly it. They had to fly it, but they had to like fly it and to see what because what they'll do is they'll do it to get like see what the response is gonna be, and then okay.
You gotta test. You gotta test.
How did it just disappear?
Right
now, everybody forgot that this happened. No one is thinking about this shit no more. Yeah. That shit was like the biggest news for like about 2 weeks.
Yeah,
and then everybody just forgot about that because they already knew
that. Out of mind. Out of sight, out of mind. Go to the next
thing. You know, Diddy trial, this, that, the other, whatever.
Always something coming up. You know, one time we were so busy watching them trying to save this damn whale up in Alaska. And while they were doing some more shit behind the wall.
Right.
You remember that?
Right. So this is how. So I want y'all to know this. This is how the news media works, right?
Yeah.
They gotta show you what they're doing. I don't know why they have to show you. Why do they have to show you what they're doing? What is that about?
That's the egotisticness in them. They gotta show you what they're doing because they know there ain't nothing you can do about it.
I thought it might have been like a legal thing, you know?
Nope.
It's they have to show you what they're doing because they want to show it to you because of their ego.
That's the nature of the white man, according to Ifa. He's got to brag about it because he still want to be what? God. When I read
it probably makes them feel good. Oh, look, they probably are sitting in a room somewhere like,
there's my sister Abundant Child. When she read that time out of Ifaism about the white man, what he said in Ifa, man. Yeah. And she read about what happened when he was watching old Damari Creek man and all these things. But it's really talking about the nature and character of this spirit that you call the white man. It's not about his color of his skin. It is a thought process or a way that he functions and thinks. It is a spirit. It is a spirit.
I always thought it was something because everybody say, well, they got to show you what they do. They always have to show you.
It's the nature of the beast. It's the nature of the spirit of the character of that particular spirit. Because spirit.
And I thought there was something to it. Like, okay, they got to show you for what? Like, why do they have to show you it? But if you say it's because their nature itself, they have to show you it to like pump up their own self to make
because they need
realize it, and they feed off of the energy of the fear it takes. Oh my God, these UFOs are flying around the airspace. I'm afraid to get on a plane. I'm scared to do this. I don't know. And all the news things, and that they're even the ones that are in control of covering it. And they're like in a room somewhere high-fiving each other, like, yeah, it worked.
Yeah. I was telling that this is what I was saying about for instance, we're talking now. Have you heard of the King Alfie plan?
I have heard of it, but I can't think of it right now.
Well, if you pull it up, you know. What about Iron Mountain? What happened at Iron Mountain?
What happened at Iron Mountain? Let's see.
Yeah. We're talking about this unseen government that's operating behind the wall. The wall is the wall of ignorance. They call it the Iron Curtain, but what you say, it's like the Houdini. They show you one thing, but the tricks behind. Yeah.
Right. So what happened? A truck crashed into a coffee shop?
No. We're talking about the meeting. Boy, they focus.
What happened at Iron Mountain? What?
The meeting at Iron Mountain.
The meeting at Iron Mountain. It's too late, honey. It's about to get dark in 5 seconds. All right, report from Iron Mountain. Let's go. It's not a real meeting or study group, but a satirical piece that questions the cost of disarmament.
Keep going.
It was published as an excerpt from a fictional book and presented the work of a secret group meeting in Iron Mountain. The premise of the Iron Mountain report was to explore the economic and psychological consequences of a world without the threat of war, concluding that such a world would be unsustainable. It was used to highlight the argument against disarmament. According to West Wing writers, the Iron Mountain Project was not a real government initiated, but a satirical creation. It's important to note that the Iron Mountain was not the name of a real meeting, but a fictional location. They keep saying it, whenever they say something over and over again.
What did the guy tell you about Scop a while ago?
Yeah, so let me tell y'all something. So now AI is running the search engines. Remember we used to do a search and it would take us to a real thing. So now with AI is giving us the cliff notes, right?
Yeah.
But you see how it's skewed. Now I'm not saying that this is right or wrong. I don't know. I've never heard of Iron Mountain.
Well, we heard about it years ago.
According to West Wing writers, so we don't. So this is they're what they're doing is drawing from. So before QAnon and the deep state,
check it.
There was Iron Mountain.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Now we talked about this back in 2000 better. December 7th, it's the squad. And just look at it.
Disarmament.
Wait a minute. Are we not talking about disarmament still now today?
Yeah.
Everything he's talking about, we're already in the process now. Other week we did the 11 executive orders. It's all a part of this thing, a part of Iron Mountain. Taking control of certain things.
But they say that the aliens are going to come and disarm.
No, they're already here.
The aliens are already here.
They're already here.
Let's get into it.
When I say already, it is a particular mindset that already came into the planet that's being explored now. Everything that comes in, it's a particular mindset. We call them generational gaps. This is a particular mindset that takes over, that runs that particular period. And that's where we are now. You got children coming in the world already operating computers, and they barely walking.
So you think that's like a kind of alien thing?
It's all alien. We're being programmed. We've been programmed. It's all in the food. It's in the water. It's in the air. Now I sound like a fool showing up. The guy's on point. This is a psychological warfare like you've never seen before. And it's all dealing with the so-called human being. Which means, that's what we are not, but anyway. That's why I tell you about this platform. I wouldn't be surprised they don't come and try to censor you. Because some things they don't want to get out, and some things they want to get out because it further moves their agenda forward. Because it plays on fear and ignorance. I like what the guy was saying. And you can't go by a person's color of skin because that don't mean nothing. It is what is programmed in his psychic, a program in him to utter into the universe to bring it to manifestation. What you think, see, and say, and hear. But do you understand? Why this show, I was telling you the other day, it ain't what people think it is. I don't worry about what the government is doing because we're dealing in a shadow government. Is there a shadow government? Yes, it is. They pledge allegiance to two different concepts. United States Incorporated is not a democracy. It has nothing to do with democracy. It's a capitalistic society, and it's under a republic. I pledge allegiance to the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands. Where's the word democracy at in there? What is and? It's a conjunction linking two words together, right? So you got two different concepts that you're pledging to, even when we're in the military. And we promise to defend this thing against foreign and domestic.
And domestic. And domestic. That means
your next door neighbor.
That means, yeah, like that at any point they can say, hey.
Yeah, you know, and it puts you in the mind of Manchurian candidate. Oh, wait a minute. If you go back the last year that President Obama was in office, he told, because he wasn't running, he told Donald Trump and then, your biggest fear come from a domestic terrorist, ingrown, house-grown terrorist. And where they coming from? In-house.
Right.
All them folks that went against the Capitol, in-house.
Right.
But you notice one thing? I didn't see no black folks.
Sure didn't.
Where were the black folks? All them folks have been tagged into, where was the black people? You know, and you know, we get caught in a lot of things. We wasn't there that day. Somebody called them to stay at home. Why are we talking about that? Because quit getting duped by the media. I'm not saying don't listen. I'm not saying don't hear it, but always read, research, and review before you run out there and get emotion. Because a lot of it is just hype. That's the sad part about it.
You know all that shit you asked for 5 years ago?
I'm trying to find this picture of NASA. They had a picture of the Earth. And it was crazy because the Earth was like, it was looking wild, but I can't find it no more. I think they got rid of it.
I just heard a voice back in there. Something.
That was me trying to find this picture.
Okay.
I can't find it now.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, they listen, they got rid of that quick as hell. Yeah, because it made the Earth look like it had like a thing around it. Hold on, let me see. Yeah, I can't find it now. Can't find it. But it was making, honey, the flat earthers were like really going in like, oh, see, it's a dome.
Yeah, right.
We're on flat earth, you know. So
like I was saying, you know, we've got a lot. Well, no, we don't, because now they're predicting, NASA's predicting by the year 2030, it's going to be a wobble in the earth. It's going to cause a major flood. That's already been looked into now. So
when the wobble happens, is the water going to splash off the earth?
Well, the water it's supposed to take up a third of a below land, you know, and that's what it's talking about. And when I was talking to a friend of mine that out of Houston, they're already talking about moving to higher ground. So we got less than 5 years to
move to the mountains.
Yeah, to move to higher ground, because a lot of these cities near the water is going to go under. You know, and they're already fighting down in Louisiana, trying to shore up the coastline because of the erosion. And, you know, houses falling off and stuff sinking, big sinkholes are coming in.
Yeah, I heard that Dallas itself is sinking too.
Yes. So a lot of things is because it's being eroded out. The water's washing it out.
Have you heard about that there's a a volcano supposed to erupt somewhere.
Yeah, I heard about
It
that.
was supposed to have
But-
been like made everybody, the whole world shake or whatever.
Yeah.
See-
Did we talk about the super kaleidoscope out there in Waxahachie?
No, we have not. No,
Because you know it's out there right there, huh?
There's a Hadron Collider in Waxahachie in
Yeah.
Texas.
Yes. 11 miles on the ground. They got one. It's called a super kaleidoscope. It's out there on 35 highway out there outside of Lella going toward Waxahachie.
Mm.
Now, how I know it's there? Because I worked on it.
You
We
did?
was we was hauling sand and gravel and cement to help build it up. And they brought a bunch of Japanese and Chinese scientists in to live underground and to work on it.
Wow, really?
Pull it up. Super Kaleidoscope, Texas. Waxahachie.
Hold on.
Yeah. And they was giving away homes out there for $1 if you move them. I mean, some fine houses. You could give them $1, but you had to move it. And they built this thing out there. It's called a Super Collider. Out there in Waxahachie.
Yep, there we go. Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah. I worked on this darn thing. We was hauling the stuff in, and it's.
But you know what? I think that truck drivers get to see a lot more.
11 miles underground.
So you had to drive a truck 11 miles underneath the ground?
We drove it in, and they had their own guys. We get to the end, and we would drop our hose. They would hook on to it because we wasn't allowed to go in because we didn't have the clearance. But we were pumping in cement, everything they need to build that building and set that thing up.
So they're saying it was
It's still there, ain't no walls. They spent billions of dollars to build that thing.
Oh, so they don't want nobody to know.
No, because it's what's going on underground.
Yeah, why would they do all that, spend all that money? So $2 billion spent. It was canceled by the U.S. Congress in 1993, though.
Don't believe that lie.
Ah.
It was called an atom smasher.
Yeah, why would they? Yeah, they wouldn't let Switzerland beat them out in the Super Collider. Why would America build this and just say, "Oh no, we stop it"? No, that's it.
Nope.
That's the end. We're not going to do it. $2 billion down the drain, canceled. Y'all, listen to how they be lying, bro. The Super Collider was formally discussed in 1984 and was canceled by U.S. Congress in 1993.
How many years is that? Now we built this thing. Now I was there.
From 1984 to 1983, 1993. That's like, yeah. Why? And then why would they allow Switzerland to have the only one? Everybody, listen. As much as everybody just trying to get to the moon, fighting. They so crunk with trying to be beating everybody else to the moon. They had Oprah Winfrey's girlfriend to go up and pretend like she went to the moon and went damn near saw space. But you gonna take a $2 billion project and just throw it down the tubes? Yeah.
And sister,
listen, I bet you if you try to drive up on that base, wherever the hell they doing it at,
they're gonna shut you down.
It says it was never completed.
See, this thing you just got away from it. Also, they were doing the time they was working on this thing, weather modification, HARP.
Yeah, yep, HARP, yep.
Yeah, all that was a part of this thing we was dealing with that.
Yeah, why would they just stop doing that?
And I'm telling you, they brought Japanese and Chinese scientists in back during that time. They were staying out there underground. It's a whole city underground.
Honey, they brought in people from Berkeley, laboratory, everything, and then just said, "Oh, that's it. We're not gonna do this. That's it."
Is that there's a map.
Look at this is what it is. It's all right.
You see that circle right there?
Yeah.
That's what he's talking about right there. All of that's underground.
So they were trying to get funding.
They got funding.
Hindered by promotion by the project as promoting American superiority. European funding remained at CERN. So do you think so? They're trying to say that this version of the Hadron Collider didn't get funded because everybody put their money into CERN.
Yeah, U.S. and Japan,
which was already working on a large Hadron Collider. India pledged $50 million, but talks with Japan floundered over trade tensions in the automobile industry. So they're trying to say, because Bush.
That's what George W.
Wait.
Bush. That's Henry W. Bush.
Hold on. A U.S.-Japanese trade mission where SSE funding. So this whole thing with this collider was supposed to be discussed, ended in the George H.W. Bush vomiting act. So he threw up, and that it stopped everything.
No.
What in the hell?
People. Keep going. All that money. Look at that money.
Billions. 1.25 billion construction budget. It had grown to 8.4 billion. Project on government oversight released a draft audit report by the Department of Energy's Inspector General, heavily criticizing the super. But the thing is, no matter what, like, why would they cancel it when there's a bigger one in Europe? I don't think America's too competitive for that. They're not going to do that. That's not going to, that's no, hell no. Like I said, all right, that's wild.
Yeah. And had I not been working on and been there, I wouldn't have known. A lot of folks that right now don't know, but it's still out there.
That's crazy, y'all. So we have a Hedron. We talk about the CERN, but we have our own, but it's hidden.
Yeah.
And they're trying to pretend like it don't exist.
Please, you can't believe the hype.
Yeah, that's too much money.
Yeah.
And they're trying to blame Bush for it and but come on now.
Yeah.
Who in the hell would pay $1 billion to say, oh, no, that's it.
We know.
Fuck it. We don't. We don't. We'll just let it go. Nah. We're not going to fire it up or nothing like that.
There it is.
So after the project was canceled, the main site was deeded to Ellis County, Texas. The county tried numerous times to sell the property. The property was sold in August to an investment group, Collider Data Center, LLC, led by the late J.B. Hunt. Why would it be called Collider Data Center? Come on now, what? Wait, it was a data center. So hold on. I'm sorry, I'm reading this.
No, but people need to know. Right up under your very feet. Right in your neighborhood.
So what happened? So they sold it a few times, but
remember, that's how you get things. Take money out of one pocket and put it in the other pocket.
So they pretended like to build something that they didn't build and then put the money over there in the Europe to the larger one.
It's out there, sister. You don't put that kind of money, that building up with that kind of facilities, and all of a sudden they don't. It's not.
So is it boarded up now, or is it like it's still operating?
Just cause it's boarded up, don't mean it's not operable. The more abandoned look, it draws less attention, because the work is underground and above ground. Everything is underground, sister. So the more it looks deserted and dilapidated, the less attention it draws from the public, but the work goes on underground.
Well, listen,
I'm telling
you
you,
know
I was
what?
there.
Right. Why would they? Yeah. Why would they spend billions of dollars on that and just let it go?
I mean, we put hours in. We was hauling day and night out there.
How long does it take till you get to the bottom of that?
I don't know, because we was only allowed to a certain entrance to offload. We had to offload at a certain area. We was bringing in rock, sand, and gravel and cement to certify, to reinforce the walls and the builds of the roads going in and out of there, going in, and to build those rooms under there. Cause folk was staying, you were going and you didn't come out. You didn't come out, you know, for months at a time.
So people were living there,
and it probably still is. It's like Area 51. You know, what's called American City out there in Nevada. It's underground. People go there, and you can't go over there, and they live there for months at a time.
they said something like that exists in LA too. They said there's a whole highway underneath LA where people like drive this highway, all the celebrities. That's why you never see celebrities on the highway, on the regular like main highway, because they drive underneath the ground. Man, so we got a lot of listen, we talked about a lot of stuff today. So listen, I hope that you guys got like some information to learn some stuff.
Something you can go feed on.
Yeah,
to look to research. I get my guys together. But I want to thank you for bringing us on and sharing this with our public. Now, I'm going to say this. Don't believe nothing I've said. Do your research. Don't get mad at me. Go do your research. I'm not the one hiding it front. I'm trying to bring it to you. Let me say, we trying to bring it to you. So you don't get hyped behind all of this window dressing and all this stuff going on. Hoopla.
The P. Diddy's
and whatever Diddy's and got, because it's all a front for distraction to keep you off what's really going down.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. It's way more bigger things going on than P. Diddy. On the surface, underneath, at the bottom, everything. So I hope that you guys like the show tonight. Let's do a final words, Baba, and we're gonna just wrap this up.
I want to thank my sister in the program here, and I say let's subscribe, like and subscribe, support it. We'll probably bring more so I can get my team together and we get to where they can get online. Y'all ain't heard nothing. When I get Brother McHare and Brother DeWar on, you might gonna get some popcorn, your favorite drink, and buckle your seatbelt, because we're gonna take you on a ride. I'm the witness guy. Because we've got about 20 or 30 years of research about this hidden government that you wouldn't believe is going on. And it ain't something we made up. We have documentations. We've got records. Because people think after a few years, people forget. Everybody don't forget. Yeah. And then if y'all want to contact me, if you want to chat what I'm saying, there's the phone number. I'm not scared. You want to talk about it? We'll talk about it.
All right. Well, much love, Baba Yashabiyah. We listen on Sunday nights at 6 p.m. We do Principles of E5. What is the subject going to be this week?
We're getting more into the esoteric metaphysical science of the Odus.
All right. So we got a little bit into like possession. I just want to like do a detour.
You got into that, but we're going to get into. We're going to take it step by step because I don't want to choke you. We want to help you.
Yeah, we did like a little detour because we did like that whole werewolf thing. Right. So I wanted to stay on topic of that, But the next week is gonna be on that, the esoteric understanding of the Odu. So if you guys get a chance, I will put the live up. What I've been doing lately is I don't put the lives up too soon because I don't want negative energy on that thing. I wait kind of closer. But I might start posting them up a little bit more earlier as time goes on, so people can plan for it and be able to plan their time. So
if it's something you're interested in, want to know,
so I will start to post them at least 5 days before the event. Much love, everybody. Thank you for being here. Shouts out to Baba Yashabiyah. Please go back and just check some of the things out. He's not here. He's not telling a fib. He knows what he's talking about. So shouts out. Peace.
Trying to get it right. Transition, changing the way that I see life. Transition mind. I'm on a mission, trying to get it right. I'm transitioning my life, making a transition. Ooh, making a transition. Ooh, 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 ooh. Making a transition. Ooh, 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 ooh. Making a transition. Ooh, ooh. Transition, I'm on a mission. On a mission, I'm trying to get it right. Changing the way that I see life. Transition in my life. On a mission, on a mission.